Lindsey, welcome to What's New in Digital. We've been trying to make this happen for a couple of weeks now, so excited that we can dive into these three topics that you want to discuss with us today.
Me too. Definitely excited.
So before we dive into your areas, give a little bit of a background on who you are.
Sure. So I am a senior strategist and advertiser at NTM. I have been working in the online education space, which we like to refer to our client niche, for about 5 or 6 years now. I come from digital marketing throughout the duration of my whole career, definitely more specialized in Facebook and Instagram ads, but have dabbled in all of the platforms for the most part. I think Snapchat and LinkedIn are the only ones I haven't had my hands on personally. Really love though helping guide clients in sort of like what their true customer journey looks like and the true like path of their lifetime value of a customer and getting them to focus a little bit more on like what the long game is for their business.
And Lindsey does a lot of our big campaigns and our launches, which means Lindsey is going to be very busy in a couple of weeks because everyone in the world wants to launch around Labor Day.
Yes. Yeah. Always like August, September is huge launch period for us. We're just coming down off of the spring launch season too, right? So
well, let's dive into point number one.
Sure. So one question that I get asked often, and as we prep for this fall launch season, is like, what is the formula these days? What is working? Everyone will reference sort of like Jeff Walker, that kind of thing. And yes, like I will reiterate, like storytelling works well in any marketing activity, but truly the ultimate essence of everything comes down to, do you feel like the messaging that you're putting out there is authentic to who you are, who your business is, what your client needs? And then also taking that back to, have you been testing it? Right. So I was just on a call with one of our clients earlier this morning where that was truly the essence of what we were doing. He had somebody else write his copy for him and it didn't feel authentically aligned. So we tasked him with the goal of actually going through and identifying what feels out of alignment for him so that he can sort of make sure that this next launch, he's showing up with his true essence, because like that vibe is going to come across in your launch if it doesn't match who you are.
So let's dive a little deeper into that. And we kindly refer to them as bro marketers, which
yes, we do.
You know exactly who we're referring to. And sometimes we see our clients who are much more, invested in personal development, their consciousness, really making a positive impact in the world. And, they want to make money, but it's not, that's not the essence of why they're in business. What issues you see when bro marketers are infused into more of a conscious brand?
Definitely. So, people always say like, how can I increase more urgency? How can I like sell more? And using bro marketing techniques is not the way to do that. Like this concept of like being like pushing really hard at people and, really hitting their pain points, right? Like really like, you don't need to dig the knife in to show them like how they'll have a transformation. So yeah. And then oftentimes those techniques don't feel in alignment with who our clients are, especially because we work more in the conscious space. So, like if you are the type of person who gets in the creative flow for a 24-hour period once a month, that is your flow. That works for you. Own it, go with it, right? Like come up with your creative content and copy and like video ideas when you feel most inspired. You don't necessarily need to fit into someone else's box of like, I need to output, 10 new posts every single day, that sort of thing. So I find a lot of the bro marketing techniques are, in that like work harder, not smarter mentality too, right? So they really want you to sort of just be a lot more forceful in your techniques and your tactics. And that doesn't always work for everybody. So honor who you are, what your essence is, and truly what feels more aligned for you. One of our clients who does it best, actually, I always joke.
Just to interject, I was just going to say, can you give an example of either one of our clients or just a brand in the world that you feel that embodies this authenticity the best?
Yeah. So one of our clients, Sarah, we refer to her all the time. She does not use highly produced videos at all. Sarah, takes an hour or two pre-launch, sits down, records the video selfie style. And for her, really focusing on the story that she's telling and that connection that she wants to make with her audience is most important over how highly produced her video is, or, even the number of videos she has in her launch. This particular launch, I think we're running with like 4 graphic variations and 1 video in her direct to cart retargeting, and it's killing it. It's doing great. So it felt in alignment with who she is too, right? She didn't need to. And that's another thing actually that we come across often is like, yes, testing is important and creative is important, but you don't always need to roll out 20 variations. That doesn't always work with budgets and the timeframes that you have as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we get to point 2, I'll just close this with saying that some of my favorite TikTok or Instagram profiles I follow are just the, cell phone selfie style, just like friend recording it. And I love their content in it. For me, it feels more relatable. I love following soccer training videos. And usually it just looks like their mom or dad or friend is recording them. And it feels more relatable I go, oh, I could probably do that too, because they're just recording this with their cell phone. I think it just sets that brand feel in that manner.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes brands do have an exclusivity to them or, a little bit more of a corporate feel, and that's fine. Like go in that direction if that's what your brand is. But if that's not who you are, then be true to who you are.
So what is point number 2?
I want to talk more about testing, I think, right? Because we talked about authenticity and like showing up as who you are, but truly you're not going to know what formula works for your business if you're not willing to test it. Mm-hmm. So in our case right now, like heading into fall launch season, things that we're testing or focused on testing would definitely be like headlines and hooks. So what is that? Especially as we move more forward with mobile first, like right now, like, I need to pull up the exact stat, but like over 90% of traffic from your Facebook ads in particular is going to be coming from a mobile device. The number of characters that they see on an ad is a lot less than what it used to be. So we need to make sure that when we write headlines, they're tight and concise. And then same thing with the hooks, those first 2 lines of copy that people are going to see when they first look at your ad. Those are the most important things. That's that first touch point that someone's going to connect with you through. So definitely testing multiple variations of those is really important. And that's what's really going to show you what formula is working for you. And then once we get past there, often to testing, like we have a launch coming up where we're going to test a few different headlines and subheadings on the landing page. And then also actually even testing out that hero image that's on the page too, because that can make a big difference. And how do you determine what that should be often ties into who your ideal avatar is. So in this particular niche, they have two potential clients that they're going after. So we're going to tailor the opt-in pages to align with each of those individual audiences.
I saw the Slack messages this morning. So I want to dive deeper into testing and what this looks like. And one, is there a minimum or a maximum from a creative standpoint you recommend when you're getting going? And then 2, we try to give people a 90-day outlook in this testing process. And what does it look like then over a period of time of when does it finally click and you can start scaling the campaign?
That's a great question. So lots of great questions. So first off, when it comes to like number of creative variations, honestly, a lot of that formula, there are still formulas that we use on a day-to-day basis, especially when it comes to ad spend, budget, and financial forecasting. But if you have too many creative variations, you're just not going to, like, Facebook is still going to favor what the top performing ones are. So like, and then it all comes down to budget too, right? If you're only spending $5 a day, we can't test as much as if we're spending $100 a day. So usually, we're ideally looking to run anywhere between 2 to 5 creatives, I would say. Once you get above the 5 creatives, you're going to want to separate that out. You're going to want to put it in a new ad set because Facebook is just not going to, it's not going to give the attention to the ones in that ad set that are outside of the ones that initially comes out the gate strong. So that's definitely something to consider. Since iOS 14, our favorite thing, we are definitely finding that it takes longer for the algorithm to optimize. So in the past, we used to really look at our testing phase of like, okay, what does the first 24 hours look like? Then 48, then 72. And usually at 72, 72 hours in, we were able to make a cut. Like we could turn off low hanging fruit and turn off the creative that wasn't performing well. These days, we're finding it can take, up to a week, if not even 2, for us to really get accurate data so that we can make those assessments that we used to in the past in a much shorter time frame. Reason for this being there's data attribution delay coming into Facebook now. So not only are we like relying on the system to catch up within Facebook reporting, but now we're also going into our client CRM and actually like matching up the data to see what's lining up and what isn't. So one of our clients last week, we were making some pivots to her funnel and we were changing what her upsell was. And I said to her, we need to give this at least a good 2 weeks, if not 30 days before we're going to see success. Because, you know, at 2 weeks, I think that's when we should really be identifying if there's any opportunities for improvement, whether that's, you know, changing some of the layout on that opt-in or on that upsell page. And then we need to give it another 2 weeks after that to truly be able to see, okay, did this work or did this not work? So it's not as instantaneous as it used to be. We need to have a little bit more patience.
So really, you need to be given this a good go for 90 days. I mean,
Yes.
after 30 days, you're still in this process. And so that's for evergreen campaigns. On the flip side, because you do live launches, and that's very much, you know, it has to work this go round because that's where all the momentum is. And for some businesses where all their revenue through the year is predicated on, are their live launches a success? How does that differ for you in that tight window?
Yeah, so we are encouraging more of our live launch clients to consider what their long-term list building strategy is, because we all know that launches can be crazy and go crazy, and we are asking for more lead time if possible. So in the past, you could turn ads on, run 7 days of lead gen heading into a webinar, and it would be fine. With the time the algorithm takes to optimize, now we're asking for more time. Ideally, I want to run that 10 or 14 days ahead of time. But even then, that doesn't give us a ton of room for making optimization improvements if we need to wait 7 days in, right? So we're definitely encouraging people to consider a longer term list building strategy. What are you doing between launches? How can we get people on the list? How can we test different angles of pulling people on the list? So we get more aligned people onto your list, but also not only does that get us more aligned people, but it gives us an opportunity to nurture them better, which in a sense should get you a higher conversion rate off of your launch when it does come time to open up that cart.
So what I'm hearing then is list build before your launch, do your testing then, and you're going to be clearer on the audiences, the creatives that resonate, and then the launch can flow into more of a, quick, let's get some leads in the door for our list building portion of this.
Definitely. And so we do have some clients that don't list build between launches right now, but though they have past data, they have their offers that they're running. This isn't the first time at the gate. Like they've run them multiple times. They have the data from past launch. So in those scenarios, we feel a little bit more confident in being able to just turn it on and let it run for the 2 weeks and then push people through a typical launch cart open cycle. But if that isn't happening, then you really want to look at more of a longer term perspective of let's build that list a little bit slower between launches. Facebook is just a little bit different these days, right? Like especially depending on your niche. If you're someone who has a very niche audience, you'll notice that in the last couple of months, Facebook removed some targeting. So what did work 6 months ago for your launch, you may be looking at different audiences right now. So we don't know how well it's going to perform. So taking like a quarter or so to run list building in between is going to give you a better idea heading into your next launch season.
Perfect. And number 3.
So this would be getting omnipresent. So in the digital marketing space, this is definitely our buzzword of the year, which is how can I see more success, knowing that maybe my performance is down on Facebook and Instagram. And from an agency perspective, I would say, Andrew, you probably agree with me that not every client is seeing a downwards turn on Facebook and Instagram, but it really just depends on what your funnel looks like and what your offer is and that sort of thing. But if you are seeing a downward turn, we are recommending that you consider branching out to other sources. Mm-hmm. So Google is definitely an option for a lot of our clients, or YouTube. Like here comes Simon the cat. Google, YouTube, or definitely TikTok. We're starting to explore TikTok for our clients as well too. Sometimes people in more of the corporate or B2B space and higher ticket coaches are also looking to use LinkedIn as well. There's lots of opportunities over there. But yeah, jumping back to TikTok, I can say seeing some mixed results, definitely lower CPMs. Definitely though, know that YouTube is having lower CPMs right now. So if you are a brand that has a lot of video content, definitely consider exploring YouTube right now, because there's definitely a lot of opportunity over there and not everyone is using it like they are on Facebook and Instagram.
So I'll just end it with this point is this has just been my mentality in the last year between iOS 14 and new platforms or whatnot. At the end of the day, people are on their mobile device all day long. The attention is here. And my opinion is we as marketers need to figure out where the just lowest costs are and where the attention is and divert our energy to that platform.
Yeah, we have a lot of clients who haven't really ever considered Google, and it's proving to be, and a Google YouTube, we'll group those together. It's proving to be like quite a lucrative option for many people.
Mm-hmm. And there could be a new platform in a year from now called Talk Book. We have no idea what the new one is going to be. So just keep that in mind too, that there's always going to be a new social media platform that's emerging. And when are you going to jump on that is a question for your brand.
Definitely.
So perfect, Lindsey. Appreciate, I don't know, I did 3 points. And thank you all for listening as well.
Awesome. Thanks for your time today.